Welcome on in to the first Sports Memo Today of June. June is upon us, which sometimes means the dog days of summer, the doldrums of summer, but not just yet, because we got some Stanley Cup preview for you today and NBA Finals preview to get into, and no man better on the ice and the hardwood at the same time than my man Nick Parsons from the Insider's Room. He's going to have a look for you in NBA Game 1. We got taking a look towards the total and the Golden Knights series against the Florida Panthers. We're going to take a look at Game 1 in that as well. And he's also not doing too bad on the diamond. So I don't know how you keep up with all of it, Nick, but we're happy to have you here from the Insider's Room alongside us. So I'll give you the choice. You want to go Stanley Cup first, or do you want to get into this NBA Game 1? What say you, Nick?
Well, why don't we get into the NBA first, there, Dan?
I love it because I already have some thoughts. So we'll see if how I'm trying to break down this game between the Jazz and the Heat align with how you see it, because it's all about the rest advantage for me with Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets,
Right.
and how they've had this nice long layoff to get healthy, to get ready,
Yep.
and this team off rest with Joker on the court, one of the best in the league in this spot. So what are we thinking? We're looking at a total around 219. Is that the way you're looking, or is it a side play for you, NP?
Well, for this, I'm definitely going to be looking at the total. I mean, this has been a super interesting NBA playoffs. It was a great play-in tournament from both the East and West. And I guess we'll see, if Denver is going to roll over Miami like the odds makers are trying to lead us to believe here. Or if Jimmy Butler and company, if they have one last Titanic upset in them here as well. Because Miami, it really has been the underdog throughout the playoffs here in the play-in tournament, and then in their series wins over the Bucks, the Knicks, and the Celtics. But the one theme that's been throughout all of those series is that the Heat have really surprised each of those teams in that game one. In the win over Milwaukee, the Heat rolled the Bucks by a score of 130 to 117. They were 9-point dogs in that one, and the total was set at 221. And then in game one versus the Knicks, they won 108-101 as 4-point dogs. Now that total did stay under the number of 210. But then in the first game against the Celtics in Boston, they exploded for a 123-116 victory. They were 8.5-point underdogs, and the total was set at just 212 in that one. And so you mentioned it, Dan. Denver's been sitting around. They have the super fresh legs here. So, I mean, obviously, the Heat, I think they're going to stick to their game plan. They're going to try to push the pace here in game one. They're going to try to pull off the upset in Denver. So I'm just anticipating a really faster paced game here in the first game. But the longer that this series go on, I think that the total in these games are going to start to become a less and less lower scoring games. But one other thing I wanted to point out, Dan, is that when Miami did play in Denver here in the regular season, the Heat did go on to score 119 points there. So, yeah, I think the Miami's game plan, it remains the same, Dan. We're going to see a faster pace. I don't think that Denver's going to have any problem in matching that one down. And so that's how I see this game one breaking down. I'm rolling with the over as far as the total is concerned.
Yeah, I love it because the look for me in this game was tied in with that rested advantage for the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, and it was looking towards their team total over them. We've already seen some line movement on that. So, hey, fill up half of that ledger with points from the Nuggets in this case, and we'll both be happy. I like the team total over. You like game over. Some correlated plays from me and my man Nick Parsons with the Insider's Room. Nick, before we get into what you think is going to be going on the ice, I alluded to it. It hasn't just been ice. It has been hardwood. How about what you've been doing on the diamond? A 17-6 run, 74%. So how do you keep up with all this and stay hot across the board? Because that's pretty darn impressive.
Well, just like all the handicappers over at Sports Memo, it's day in and day out, Dan, as you know.
Yep.
I mean, it's just being in the trenches. It's looking at each and every game. It's looking at the pitchers. It's the daily grind. And then, you see patterns, those little advantages of being able to do that. You're able to grind out the profits. Admittedly, I got out to a slow start this year, but have completely turned it around now that the regular season is in full swing. So I anticipate that to keep rolling. Check out the Insider's Room over at Sports Memo, guys. You won't be disappointed.
I love it. Nick Parsons, and you can check him out, sm.buzz/TIR. That's for the Insider's Room. All right, well, what does the Insider's Room say about this series between the Golden Knights and Joe Ranieri's Florida Panthers? Looks like the Golden Knights, a modest favorite on the money line, around -130 in game one. Is that the look, or we got some dogs barking in this series? How do you see it shaking out, at least to start the series?
Well, I mean, Florida, what's up with the state of Florida in the finals here? They're getting spoiled this season. I mean, yeah, Florida, it's been the surprise team in the playoffs in the NHL as well. No question. It was a number 8 seed. It was down 1-3 to Boston in that first round before rallying and winning in 7 games. Now considered possibly the greatest upset in NHL playoff history. And, really they've gotten better through each series after that because they beat the Leafs in 5 and then they beat the Hurricanes in 4. So they've just seemingly been getting better. But Las Vegas, it's filled now with experienced talent. Anyone who has been a Golden Knights fan, I mean, for sure, you guys have been spoiled as well. This team, this is coming from a bitter and jaded longtime Canucks fan here. So just take that with a grain of salt. But regardless, I mean, Matt Stone, Aiden Hill, they have looked really good for Las Vegas as well during the playoffs. They haven't needed more than 6 games to get through any of their series so far. Now, the difference being, of course, the Golden Knights, they were one of the favorites to be here in the Cup Finals. And as I mentioned, Florida was just the number 8 seed coming into the playoffs. With a line like this, I mean, the odds makers, they clearly believe that these teams are evenly matched. And I'd say that that's the case for sure. I guess you could make the case that Florida has the better goaltending in Bobrovsky, but we talked about this with the NBA. Will rest lead to rust for the Panthers in this situation? I am, like you, a big believer in momentum in the playoffs. I do think extended breaks can work one of 2 ways. Obviously, it can help or it can be detrimental. And so I think the break that Florida has had, that could have a potential, throw a potential monkey wrench into their momentum. Florida, it was good on the road this year, 27-20-3, but the Knights were really good at home. They were 32-18 in front of the hometown crowd. So the same thing as the NBA, ready to make adjustments from game to game here. But you mentioned it, Dan, the value here at the Knights at only that -130. I think, as Bob Barker would say, the price is right.
So come on down and ride with my man Nick Parsons in the Insider's Room. And you can check him out, sm.buzz/TIR. What kind of stuff are they going to find locked and loaded over there as we head on into the summer months, brother?
Yeah, well, we're actually now releasing soccer picks, some MLS, nice. And the 7-6 baseball run is continuing. Plays up for that, and guys will be definitely playing all the NBA and NHL playoffs up until they raise the cup.
Yeah, definitely. Grab it now from my man Nick Parsons, and that's going to do it. Just a one-off for you here on Sports Memo Today. When you get great info from a man like Nick, you only need one guest on the show, and that's going to shut it down our Tuesdays and Thursdays here on Sports Memo Today. So we will be back locked and loaded in just a few days with another great program for you, getting you that actionable info you know and love. In this case, 15 minutes or less with my one guest today, Nick Parsons and the Insider's Room. I've been your host, Dan Alexander. Big thanks to Eric doing a terrific job behind the scenes, and we will see you on Tuesday. Best of luck this weekend, folks. Let's get that over and that team total over. Have a little more money in our pocket the next time we talk here on Sports Memo Today.